Hello, hello, hello. Let me turn my comments on. How's everybody doing today? I was sitting here today making videos and I thought I am going to come on live because I want to talk a little bit about my book, shocker, Lioness Unleashed. And I want to talk about how I can include some of you amazing men and women in what we're working on next. And yes, there's already a next. And no, the first book's not out yet, but it's ready. It's done. It's with the book designers. It's with the publisher for the final, my co-publisher, I should say, for the final everything it needs, the ta-da, the whatever you do to a book to make it ready to promote and go out. And so anyways, this book has been such a journey for me. And I want to tell you a little bit. I'd made a video about why I wrote the book in the very beginning. I didn't just sit down or come up one day and decide that, hey, I'm going to write another book. I've already written 2 books. I co-authored Crushing Mediocrity with Renee Bangelsdorf. And then I wrote a book, not a bestseller, but did well in the auto industry, Cars Her Way. And I really was not in the mind frame to write another book. And then September 10th happened. And that was the day it just rocked me to my core. And that was when Charlie Kirk was unalived. I think that's what we're supposed to say. And it just rocked me to my core. And I thought, I have to write a book about civil discourse, about what's happening in our country. And for the record, I'm going to put it out there. I have supported Charlie and Turning Point over the years. But I didn't agree with everything that Charlie said. I thought he was young and idealistic, and I really liked him a lot. But for example, I don't agree with that women should not work and that they should stay home. I just don't. I think if you can and if you want to, go for it. I think you should. But if you want to go out and build your empire, you should be able to do that also. I worked when my kids were young. Yeah, and my kids turned out great. So I am a firm believer that you should do what you want to do, and that you should not be told, as women, be told by society, if you do this, you're bad, or if you do this, you're good, or if you don't do that. Like, I don't believe in that, right? So there were some things that I did not agree with, but what I did agree with, that I loved that Charlie did, was that he would go to the college campuses and he would say, whoever disagrees with me, come to the front of the line and I will hand you the microphone. Think about that. If you disagree with me, come to the front. And I'm going to give you my stage. I'm going to give you the microphone. I'm going to give you the platform, and let's have a conversation. Okay? That is what I liked about Charlie Kirk. That is what I was bought into about Charlie Kirk, because I felt like over the years that so many students, college students, felt unheard. They felt, they were not getting good information, whether it was from the university, or if it was from society, or if it was from the culture. And I think it gave them a chance to be heard and seen in front of their peers. I do think Charlie did a good job of debate. Anyways, all of that being said, I wanted to set the table with that so that it would make sense. So when that happened on September 10th, a date that I'll never forget, of 2025, I took a few days, I literally couldn't talk to people without crying. And crying for a lot of reasons. That, number one, that something so horrible could happen on a college campus to somebody that I respected, to in front of all those students. That is this now going to become the new normal? Is this going to be considered okay in society? Like, all of it was going through my head. And I had such a visceral response to it. I watched the funeral. The next like 4 hours for the funeral. I had friends that were at the funeral. Um, and literally within a week, I had this feeling inside of me, and it was not an audible voice, but it may as well have been an audible voice, that God was like, yeah, it's time. It's time to write a book about courage over fear. Courage over fear. And the courage came from standing up, right? The tagline on my book is a manifesto for women who refuse to remain silent. And because I fall in the bucket of the 50 and over, I was writing it for women because I have found that women that are 50 or over are very well behaved typically. and they don't want to cause conflict. They don't want to speak up. All of that. So as I'm wrestling I'm in my house right now, but I was in my media room. And I'm like, I'm going to write this book. And I had no idea, guys, what the title was going to be at that time. No idea. I mean, the title didn't come till way later in the process. And the title went through lots of iterations. Okay. But I knew I was going to write a book. I was supposed to write a book for women over 50, but now it's kind of turned into, I've got some young lionesses in the book who are very worthy to be in that book, very worthy. But almost like stories, and this is me like working through the process, right? So I knew I was going to tell stories of women that I have met along my journey that have inspired me because of their courage over fear. Okay, anytime you go against the status quo, that takes guts. Okay, if you're out there and you're like, I don't know. I think about the Maha movement, right? Like people that'll stand up for food. Like I think about during the pandemic when people, were losing their jobs because, they wouldn't bow down to the government and just all kinds of things, right? Like it takes guts to stand up. And I'm not saying women don't have guts, because they do. You kidding? We give birth. If you've never given birth, that takes guts. It's not fun. But they don't, women typically just don't want to make waves. Okay. And I'm talking 80-20 rule here, ladies. So don't like blow me up, because this is 80-20. All right. But they don't want to make waves. And I've had the privilege of knowing, working with, meeting, doing deals with, being in the same room with some women that are absolutely freaking phenomenal. And they've had courage, whether it was to be the CEO of General Motors, which Mary Barra, or you're Laura Trump, and you've now married into this dynasty, and what do you do with that? And Elena Cardone, who co-wrote the foreword with Sharon Lechter, who is a 5-time New York Times best-selling author, but her meager beginnings as in accounting, when there really no women in accounting. Like these women's stories, like I knew when I literally locked myself in my media room, which is right back there, for a week, with my computer. First, I started with the outline. I started with the premise. And the premise has changed a lot since then. I knew that these stories needed to be condensed and put into one book. I just knew it. I don't know how you know these things, because when I tell you I wasn't going to write, I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to write a book today. Yay. I don't have time to write a book. You don't make a lot of money writing a book, just for the record. Like, so people who write books, unless you're someone like a Sharon Lechter, it isn't about the money at all. In fact, it costs a lot of money to write a book, just so you know, tens and thousands of dollars to write a book, to do it the right way, right? To do it the way I did it, with, writers and editors and, publishing and company, like all of it, right? Like, so it's sitting as an expense on my balance sheet right now, a big expense. Angela Topman. Yes, it does. Angela would know. So it's sitting as an expense on my balance sheet, but on my balance sheet of life, it's, I think, one of my biggest assets. And why it's an asset is because we still live in a free country. I still get to say what I want to say. There'll be some things in the book that people will challenge. They won't like it. But I say in the beginning of the book, hey, it's my story. It's my story. And this is the world according to me. I'm the author. I wrote the book. It's my story. And I kind of set the table there because I know people are going to go, that's not how I remember it, or that's not whatever, or I don't agree with you, or you're crazy, or whatever. And I'm like, hey, wait, whoa. It's my story. It's my accounting of the events. It's how I feel about this person. And so that's the cool thing, y'all, when you write a book. Okay. You get to tell your story your way. I tell this to my team all the time. You want to get the microphone. You want to be on the stage. When you are on the stage, you get to tell your story. When you have the microphone, you're in control. Okay. So that's the cool thing about writing a book. All right. Again, not to get rich unless you're Sharon Lecter, who has just written 50 million books or sold 50 million books. Okay. But for me, it was not about that. And what a journey it has taken me on. The interviews, the people, the stories, really digging deep for myself. What do I believe? What do I agree with? What am I willing to say out loud and not be afraid to be canceled? Like, I had to go down a little bit of that path too. And in all transparency, I started the book a little more political. And I really railed that back. I'm like, this isn't about politics. This is not about this president or that president or whatever, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. They're just people, right? And by the time this book gets published, well, let me say, this book will get published with the current administration. But by the time my next book gets published, if there's a next book, there'll be a new administration. So, right, like, so, I didn't want to get behind one person, one cause, one anything. I wanted to get behind women that are over 50. And I wanted to give them a voice. So we wrote the book as a parable. Now that was brought to me by my editor. And at first I was like, why would I want to do that? Why would I want to create characters that don't exist? I'll just tell people what to do. Well, that was probably really good advice on everybody's part, that they didn't think I needed to be so damn bossy in this book. So we wrote this parable, and it's two moms. Okay. There's Martha and Leona. Leona is fierce. Leona has got it going on. Leona's not taking any crap from anybody. She's the leader of the pack. She's the one who's always going to voice her opinion. She's the one who's going to be pretty vocal on social media when she doesn't like something. She's the one who's going to stand up in the school board meeting. She's the one who's going to kind of lead her friends or call her friends and go, can you believe what just happened? Here's what I think we should do. Okay, that is Leona. Then there's Martha. Martha's equally as fantastic as Leona. She just keeps her opinions to herself most of the time. Sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes it eats her alive. And it eats her alive because she knows that she should stand up. She knows that she should get into the fight. She knows, but she's afraid of the backlash of her friends, her family, her peers, social media, her work, whatever. Now, I will tell you this. I know those of you who know me, they're like, oh, I know you're Leona. Guys, I'm a Martha sometimes too. Okay. And so the cool thing about the book and about the parable is that it takes you down the road and the story of these women. And they're not all Leonas all the time. Now, I would say overarching, they are Leonas. Right? They've done some big things. They're courageous. I don't know if I said this earlier, but if I didn't say it, I want to say it now. Sharon Lecter and Elena Cardone are co-writing the foreword for me, which beyond honored, because those are the two women that I would say in my world that I hold the highest respect for. and not even for different reasons. They're very, very similar women, right? Highly principled, highly successful, highly amazing. But most important, they're my loyal friends. I trust them with every inch of my life. So there's that. Um, and I felt like with this parable, in the beginning, like I pushed back on it, just so you know. I was like, that's dumb. Like, I was like, who does that? Like, I don't even understand it. Like, I think the last parable I read, well, the Bible's a parable, so I better stop there. Some of Jesus' stories are parables. Um, but like Rich Dad Poor Dad, I thought it was great. It made sense. But I'm thinking, like, how do you recreate that? You don't. And but it does help people see themselves in the story. And now that the book is done, and I've read at least 15 times, I mean, seriously, because I just keep editing and this and that and da da da. Um, it I'm like, God, I'm so glad we have a parable, because every single one of us ladies is a Martha or a Leona on every single decision. And you're not bad if you're a Martha. And believe me, I opened the book with that. Like, it doesn't, like, we are all a combination of both of them, but I want you as the reader to understand, when you get to that mindset, like, do I stand up? Do I say it? Do I take on this cause? Do I fight City Hall, for lack of a better word, right? And to come down deep and to say, you know what? I'm going to be a Leona today. I'm going to take this on. I'm going to do it, right? Like, that's that's the outcome that I want, is that the readers in this book start to really, really understand how important their actions are. Okay. How important it is to stand up. But every fight is not worth fighting. And yet, equate that to marriage. Like, if I fought with my husband about every single thing that annoyed me, he'll probably watch this. I'd be fighting with him all the time, right? So you got to pick your hills to die on, whether it's with your kids or it's with your spouse or it's with people you know or it's in business. Like, you can't die on every hill, or people won't respect you, they won't like you, and you'll lose credibility and authority and influence all day long. And I think the book really helps women decipher when a hill is important to die on, and it gives you great examples of women that have done it. 39 women in the book, absolutely flipping amazing. It's Lioness book. I guess I should be doing this across this thing the whole time. Let me make this banner for you. Right now, all we've done is we have created the wait list. And the wait list is going to be for not just the book, but for the events we're holding, for the launch of the website, which is pretty dang cool in itself. It's going to have a lot of features. I am absolutely told by Sherry Matthews I am not allowed to talk about it. So I am not going to talk about it. But let me see. I'm going to show this. Okay, lionessbook.com. So this is just to get on the wait list. It's free, but we've got some amazing stuff coming. Now, why I wanted to get on today is the podcast, Lisa Unleashed. I will be interviewing a lot of the women in the book for the podcast, but I want to open this up to other women. I want to have other women on this podcast. And so if you've got a story and it is really unique and cool, I want you to reach out. If you know somebody who has a story that's really unique and cool, right? And so, I mean, I've kind of laid the groundwork about the book. So the book is not about, it is about ordinary women who've done extraordinary things. All right. We're all very ordinary women. But I've seen some of these women do things that I'm like, dang, that's amazing. These women are amazing. And so I want to build this library of podcasts, future books, whatever, right? I've got some big meetings next week. I head to Washington, D.C. on Sunday, big meetings in D.C. And then I've got the following week, I'm going to be at Freedom Fest, invitation of Sharon Lecter, with, and she's speaking. So it's pretty amazing. Got the, I think Steve Forbes is interviewing her. Like, no big deal, right? Steve Forbes, Forbes magazine. Hello. And to kind of go make the rounds there in the media. And I think it's an important message. I think especially women, but I think we have lived, our culture has really been a culture of the last 5 years. It's been a cancel culture. And I think that the final thing for me on this cancel culture that I feel like I've lived in was Charlie. That's the ultimate cancel, right? And anyways, I'm really, really excited about the book. I'm working off of no notes here. Like, I really wanted to kind of come with this heartfelt thing, not so much about the book, but about who do you know? I'm going to start doing these interviews when I get back from Las Vegas. I'll have one day a week, and I'm going to try to knock out 3 to 4 a day. The other days I have to do real estate because this real estate market is nuts right now. But I'm going to take a day, and I would love to be able to do 3 to 4 interviews on this platform, which is StreamYard, which I love. Not every interview in the beginning I can do. And so, but I'm really looking for like unique stories. And that's what I love about the book is I feel like I was, for the record, I was not able to get every story into the book I wanted to get into the book. And that's because we added kind of a big surprise at the end, which you'll have to buy the book to find out what that is. But so because of the big surprise at the end, I had about 10 stories that had to get cut, which I'm bummed about big time because they were worthy to be in the book. It's just, it starts to become just like hey, the publisher's like, this is all you can do. This is how many pages you can have. This is what you can do. End of story, because you're not going to be publishing an encyclopedia for people. So, there's a bandwidth to how many pages somebody's going to read. So anyways, I'm going to make up for some of that deficit in the podcast. Some of the podcasts could very well make the Audible. We have a plan around the Audible book, which I'm pretty excited about. So maybe your podcast makes the Audible, which, come on, let's be real. We know the Audible is going to get more attention probably than the book. So I'm looking for some lionesses, some superstars. You've overcome something. You've started something. You've built something. You stand for something. You stood up for something. All of those stories. That's what I'm looking for. And if you're watching this, you probably know how to get a hold of me. But send me a message or DM me. That's probably the best way. I'm going to have people going through it. My goal, 4 times 5 is 20, 80. My goal is to have 120 of these done. Hold on a second, guys. Let me just send this out. I should have 120 of these done in 60 days. Okay. So I'm really, really hoping that can happen. And I want to pull some stories that are not in the book. And I want to see some more. I want to see what I've missed. Or I might not have missed it. I just wasn't aware. And I want to spotlight those stories, because the platform that all this is going to go to is going to get a lot of eyeballs. That's all I can say about it right now, but it will. And I think it's just, I don't know. That's my heart. That's what I want to do. And like I said, it all started with September 10th. And it started with the fact that, like, wow, this is really how it's going to end for this young man. Seriously. And I just think that civil discourse, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to say this because if you know me, I'm going to put people on the podcast I don't agree with. Like, nothing crazy, just know that. But I'm okay to have some of those conversations if you're okay to have some of them. Right? We may not agree, but You know, we're not, we may not agree on what we're going to talk about, but we're going to talk about it. And so I kind of love that too. And anyways, so shoot me a DM if you watch this, or tag somebody in it and tell them to watch it. I kind of waited till the end, so you're gonna have to watch the front to get to the back. But tag somebody in this if you see somebody out there. If you know somebody, you're like, oh man, Lacey, you gotta tell this person's story. They're really amazing. But tag them in it. And anyways, I hope you guys are having a great day. Like I said, I was gonna make a bunch of videos about this, but I just thought, heck, I'll just go live, put it out there. The book will be out in August for sure. We were going to try to launch July 4th, but we realized that was we couldn't do that. There's a lot of steps, guys, to publishing a book. Lots of steps. Lots of steps. So, anyways, that being said, thank you. Thank you for showing up today. Thank you for sharing this out. Thank you for thinking of people. Thank you for sharing your own story. If you think your story is one that should be told. Anyways, I love you guys. Get on the wait list, lionessbook.com, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.